Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you today to read to you my story, Gurpreet Goes to Gurdwara, Understanding the Sikh Place of Worship. It's illustrated by Gurpreet Goes, and it has a foreword by Baltej Singh Dillon. I hope you enjoy the story, and let's begin. Beep, 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 went Gurpreet's alarm clock. Gurpreet rolled over in a flash, hit the snooze button, and slid his head under the pillow. Since today was not a school day, there was no reason to get up early, so Gurpreet decided he would sleep in and play with his friends in the afternoon. But Gurpreet's mom had other ideas. Gurpreet sang, "Rise and shine," shouted his mom from the hallway. "But there's no school today, Mummy," Gurpreet yawned back. "Of course there's no school today, honey. It's Sunday. You remember what we do on Sundays, don't you?" asked Gurpreet's mom as she entered his room. "Watch cartoons and play video games, Mummy?" Gurpreet giggled. Gurpreet's mom was not pleased with his answer. "First of all, when you speak to your elders, you must say Ji after their names to show respect. Secondly, Sunday is the day we go to Gurdwara to pray and listen to hymns," said Gurpreet's mom. "Why do we only listen to hymns and not hers, Mummy Ji?" asked Gurpreet.
Hi, I'm sorry for the interruption. The book that you were just listening to is being read by Harman Singh Pandher, who also happens to be the author of the book. It is available online on Amazon, Chapter's Indigo website, as well as Barnes & Nobles for those of you who are in the US. I spoke to Harman about a couple of weeks ago about this book, about why he wrote this book, and why he thinks representation of South Asian characters in children's literature as well as literature in general is important. And also I spoke to him about the education system in Canada and about the steps that the education system is taking in order to become more inclusive. He is currently a teacher in Surrey BC, and of course he's an author as well. And he has been a school board trustee in Burnaby BC for 2 terms as well, from 2011 to 2018. And obviously today is Gen Z, unfiltered, and they're not here today. The reason why they're not here today is because it is the time of exams, it's the time of assignments. They've been doing this show ever since DC Sun started every Wednesday, but I'm going to help them out for the next couple of months when they're really, really busy. So I'll be here occasionally to help them out. So yeah, get used to it, man. I'll be here more than I am already. All right, so I'll play the interview I recorded with Harman a couple of weeks ago. Thank you so much for all the love that you give TC San. Please like and follow our page. Truly, truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you. Hello, Harman.
Hi, Roop.
Hi, thank you so much for making the time today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with the crux of the matter here. So you wrote a book with a Sikh boy character. Representation is what I see here. So, oh, there it is. Gurpreet Goes to Gurdwara. I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to have my hands on that book yet, but I will get that. Even though, what is the readership of this book? Like, is it younger kids? Who are you targeting? What's the target readership?
Well, I'm targeting everyone, really. I'm targeting kids. I'm targeting like elementary school students, their parents, teachers, but even older kids, high school, and so basically, there's many audiences for the book. So we talked about a wide range of ages, but also wide range of like cultures, right? Like we're talking about Sikh children, right? This is a book that is for Sikh children, so they can feel proud of our identity, culture, religion, traditions. It's like a mirror for them, right? And so they build that self-confidence within. They see themselves reflected in the pages of this book and represented. But for other communities, non-Sikhs, it's a window, right? It's a window into a Sikh family, all right? The household of a Sikh family, a Gurdwara, and their daily life and their place of worship, right? Our place of worship. So it's they may never have been to a Gurdwara, or they might not have any Sikh friends that they can interact with and learn about our culture. But through this book, in a fun, relatable way, everyone can, and it's just an introduction, right? And start those discussions, and it gives people an opportunity to make connections, to see we have so much in common, really, and then but also to learn about those differences and share, our uniqueness with each other and celebrate those differences.
Yeah.
That's really the goal.
When I first saw when you wrote this book, when this book came out, it put a smile on my face because I'm consistently always whining about lack of representation in the literature that our children are reading, or in the literature that we read growing up. Because I remember all the books that we read growing up, we didn't even read about indigenous cultures that our kids are thankfully reading now. So I'm so glad that this is happening now. This change is coming, and you are one of the many pioneers in that. And there are many books that are coming out with brown characters. I know my daughter was reading something about Detective Mars Patel. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one in particular, but I am seeing more. And whether it's picture books, like the one I've written, or novels, and so that's good to see. We still need more, and but I hope. I hope we're really just at, on the cusp of maybe a tidal wave, I hope, of literature that represents, all of us, the vast diversity that there is in Canada.
So why do you think this representation is important?
Oh, well, yeah, I like to say representation matters, right? It's in literature and in life, right? Like it matters in books, that in media, that we see positive role models in media, in movies and TV. But we kids get to see their story reflected in the books they read, right? That it validates them, right? It gives them we matter, we're important, our stories are important, we belong, right? That we're not not fully Canadian, right? The reason I have a little Canada flag even on the cover of the book here is this is a Canadian story. It's about a Canadian family. Yes, they're Sikh, but they're Canadian, just as Canadian as any of us, and that's important, right? The face of Canada has changed dramatically from even 50 years ago or 40, 30 years ago, and it continues to evolve, and the voices need to reflect that too, right? In the voices of authors, and so I think it's important because it builds, like I said, it builds self-confidence in children, and it gives them something to aspire to, right? In me being a Sikh Canadian author, even, right? That gives them, children might be, oh, I can be an author too, right? I'm a teacher, maybe, standing in front of a class of students. Now I might be the first, maybe Sardar who's standing in front of them as a teacher. That gives them something to aspire to. There's a saying, we cannot be what we cannot see, right? We cannot be what we cannot see. You can't even maybe dream of something until, it's put in front of you. And it matters. But we were talking before the show, Roop, about representation can't just be like symbolic either. I think it has to be meaningful. Like people who are put out there and maybe are given opportunities need to be really listened to. And if you're and people of color need to be put in positions of leadership and not just be tokenized, right?
Yeah.
And and this, like, so similarly with literature, this book is not a one-off that I want, read at Vasaki time or something like that, right? Like it should be not in some multicultural section in the library. This should be take its place alongside any other Canadian children's book in
Yeah.
public libraries across the country in the school system, and that's a big goal of mine, to get this book in the education system across North America, really.
I really appreciate what you said about if you don't see, you can't be. Because I was watching this interview with Priyanka Chopra, I mentioned it earlier, where they mentioned it was an interview with Jay Shetty, I think that's what his name is.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how they didn't know that there were any other careers other than doctor, lawyer, and engineer, because that's what we're taught growing up. And that's what we see around us too. People aspiring to be doctors, lawyers, and engineers. Nothing wrong with those careers. Wonderful, fantastic careers. But there are other careers as well. There are other avenues that you can take where you can apply your potential to. For example, you're a teacher and you wrote 2 books now. This is your second book. You wrote a poem of poetry before that. So how did you transition from poetry to writing this book, Gurpreet Goes to Gurdwara? What sparked the change? And was there any one specific moment that inspired you, that you wanted to create a character that you could relate to, or perhaps our kids can relate to?
Well, I think what sparked this book, I mean, really the genesis was from my own childhood, right? I mean, this was a story that I lived, right? We all lived. You lived it, growing up here, going to Gurdwara, and then you're a young child and you have questions, the natural curiosity, and we didn't see books like this growing up. So there was that's what originally sparked this. But I wrote this story about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, and this was just published last year. Right? Last summer, it was published. 20 years ago, I wrote it. So the story is, I was at UBC, University of British Columbia, studying to become a teacher. I was in doing my bachelor's of education, and I had to take an art education class as part of our elementary school program. And it was an assignment from our art instructor to write your own picture book. So I had to write it and illustrate it. And she encouraged us to make it meaningful, personal to you, and something that you could use in your future classroom with future students. And so that's where this story was born. I wrote Gurpreet Goes to Gurdwara at that time, around 2001. And I illustrated the illustrations that I did. I consider myself somewhat of an artist, but those aren't the illustrations that are in this book. I used a very talented a local artist here, Gurpreet Goes, who illustrated the finished book. But I did my own illustrations and I shared it with my classmates there in class, and then the instructor. I got an A on the project, and I shared it with my family. But I didn't share it widely after that. But the feedback was, this is great. You should use it with your students. In fact, it should be published, right? And that was the feedback I was even getting back then. But maybe, I don't know, personally, I was involved, just becoming a teacher. At the same time, I was just becoming a father, actually, just after that. And so life happens, and I did have a book of poetry, and that's a passion of mine, poetry. And that was also about our own Sikh traditions and history and everything. And but the picture book really, after I became a father, and so now my son, I was looking for resources to share with him, right, about our identity, and there was a lack of them here, especially resources here in the West.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in a Canadian context, right? Not just things that came from India that even those kids here can't relate to, right? And so I saw that as a parent, and then I saw it again when I really became, a full-time teacher, and I had my own classroom. I teach a grade 5 class, and I live in Burnaby, BC, but I teach in Surrey. Now, Surrey huge South Asian population, right? The second most spoken language after English is Punjabi in Surrey. Our school is over 90% South Asian, right? I have one non-South Asian in my student in my class, right? This is my professional reality, right? And I've been at this school for 15 years that I'm at. And so when I'm trying to get them hooked on reading, forget about other things, but just even maybe hooked on reading, but then also to give them resources, material that's relevant to them, that'll excite them, right? And that'll reflect, the faces that are sitting in front of me. Well, like I said, just like it was hard to find stuff for my son, it's hard to find stuff for my students. And so I went back to the story, and it took a little while. I found the right illustrator, and who had a style that matched, the kind of really fun, whimsical style of the story, because it's told in a fun, relatable way, and really through the eyes of a child, right? A 6-year-old child with a wild imagination. And so I wanted the illustrations to reflect that. And so once I connected with the right illustrator, last year, this whole year has been so hard on people with the pandemic and everything. But the silver lining was that when we were all at home, this is going back to like last March, and I realized that, okay, now's the time where I can really focus on getting this project completed and published, and I have no excuses, and I had the time to do that. And so that's and I got it done, and it was published last summer. So I know that was a long story there, but it's been a long process, 20 years. And so I'm happy with it. The feedback's been great, and just looking to get it in as many hands as possible.
I'm actually not surprised that you got an A on your project, because you've got an award for this book already, with many more to come. I'm so excited for you and your journey. So you talked about representation. Oh, there it is. Oh,
I actually have it here. It's a little hard to see because it's heavy. It's made of glass. It's beautiful, and I'm honored to accept this award just in the last few days from the BC government for my work on around multiculturalism and anti-racism, and being one of 5 recipients in the province to receive this award. And the book was a big part of it, and the work I'm doing in schools and other community service that I'm involved in. So yeah, thank you, Roop. Appreciate that.
For you. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, so you like you said, you've been involved in your education system. You were a trustee as well for 2 terms, from 2001 to 2018, a school board trustee.
That's right. Yeah, in Burnaby, I was on the Burnaby school board.
So talk to me about the future of representation in the Canadian education system. Are you working to get your book into the Burnaby school system or the BC school system? So how's that working out?
Well, the response has been great, like I said, and from educators, and that's been great to see. Teachers are getting the book, they're requesting it, they're getting it for their classrooms, school libraries. And my own school district, the Surrey School District, which is the largest school district in the province, has been supportive of the book and has publicized it. And so that's helped get the word out to the whole province, and receiving an award like this, which has raised the profile of the book as well. So yeah, it's being applauded by the education system, and used already. Now the key is just to get it out to more school districts across Canada, and the book is gone. It's gone to the United States, the UK. So that's part of the beauty of it. It's being used. Like I can't even keep track of all the places that it's going and it's being used. I do want I would like to see maybe it being not just a one-off, and this is just one resource. So I'd like to see our curriculum uh, made more like intentionally incorporate maybe a South Asian component, for instance, for even language arts. We talk about in social studies, different cultures, but really it just needs to be ingrained. The whole diversity in education and stuff, it needs to be ingrained in everything we do, right, and woven into um, the entire curriculum, even more so. So that is the trend now, and it's good to see. I know here in BC, the government is really placing an emphasis on anti-racism, and whether it's in the education system, or any other sector, like they have prioritized it. They have pledged to make uh, changes to legislation and really just really make anti-racism a part of you know everything that they do as a government. So, and I'm seeing that already trickle into more into the education system. There is a call right now in BC to they're creating some more South Asian or South Asian Canadian resources, and they're involving teachers in that process. There was a call out just the other day for teachers in the province who have a background in South Asian Canadian history, and who would like to be involved in that type of stuff. So that's good to see.
Oh, that's very encouraging because yes, the change it needs to happen. We're not there yet, but just the fact that we are working towards it and you are a part of that process, it's amazing. I'm just so happy that this is happening, and hopefully in a few years from now, we won't be fighting the same battles that we're fighting today. It'll be different battles, but they won't be the same battles that we're fighting today.
Yeah,
All
for
right.
sure.
Can you tell me where we can buy this book? Where can we buy Gurpreet Goes to Gurdwara?
Well, you can get your hands on a copy just by sitting at home and going online. You can go on Amazon. So if you're in Canada, Amazon.ca, or if you're in the States, Amazon.com. Or actually, so worldwide, you can get it on Amazon. And in Canada, it's also available on Chapters Indigo online, right? You can go online to Chapters Indigo, and in the States, Barnes and Noble is one of the biggest booksellers, and you can go on their website and get it on Barnes and Noble. So just search for Gurpreet Goes to Gurdwara, Understanding the Sikh Place of Worship, or you can search my name, Harman Singh Pandher, and and it'll come up. So that's where it's available right now. I have been receiving a lot of requests for personalized copies, and I love. And if people reach out to me, I love to sign copies and write a little message and send them out while quantities last, at my house right here. So yeah, and I'd love to hear from people who have the book, and they can send me an email. My email's in the book, and if people watching at home want to reach out to me, I can give my email. It's Harman S Pandher at gmail.com. That's HarmanSPandher at gmail.com.
Perfect. I'll put all of that information in the caption, and I'll put links in the video as well. So if anyone
Awesome.
is interested to purchase the book or get in touch with you, they can. And of course, I'm so happy and so excited that I got to talk to you. And I'm so looking forward to more books, more Gurpreet stories.
Yeah, well, you mentioned a series. There is a sequel in the works. Right, I'll give a little teaser to the viewers that there is a sequel in the works, and this time Gurpreet's going to school. Gurpreet Goes to School. Yeah, so excited about that and the issues, that all kids face. But especially, it'll be unique to him as a Sikh boy, right? And there's some issues around bullying, and again, that whole idea. We live in a multicultural, the most multicultural country in the world, perhaps, right? And so the the story reflects that diversity, and so I think I hope it's just as well received as this one, and again, people from all cultures will learn from it.
I will be. Thank you so much for your time, Harman, and I am looking forward to getting my hands on that book. Gurpreet Goes to Gurdwara is on Amazon. It is in Chapters Indigo online. And if you're in the US, it's in Barnes and Noble. So please go get a copy for you, for yourself, for your children, and share it with your family and friends as well. Thank you so much once again, Harman. We'll talk soon. I'm sure we'll talk soon when the next book comes out.
Thank you so much, Roop. Pleasure talking to you. Take care.
Right. Take care. Bye-bye.